Breaking news. Transgender terrorist caught trying to kill Trump supporters, court justice. This is from that FIFA thing they said in all my videos and everything. That support and everything. They are a terrorist organization funded and ran by the transgenders and everything like that. So yeah. Basically, 58 Democrats voted not to support Charlie Kirk and everything, not to honor him. Even though he did all he can to try to unite the world. And they did not want that. And none of that, Charlie Kirk's wife is suing Jimmy Kimmel, which she has a right to do. I mean, you talk shit about her husband. Her husband was killed on live TV and you had the nerve to talk shit about him. Which is not surprising about Democrats. They talk shit about a lot of people who don't vote for them or don't agree with them. I know that people got a hit list on every single Republican out there, even in the White House and not in the White House. Would be surprising. But a transgender terrorist caught trying to kill Trump's Supreme Court justice. So this is why I'm saying that, to be honest, I need to leave transgenders as a threat to American people. And this is true. So let's get the video, shall we?
I hurt some people. What's up, guys? It's Benny. Many Americans are asking, how did we get here where so many politicians are catching bullets? And, well, to answer that question, here's Chuck Schumer telling Brett Kavanaugh that if he decides to rule on a case at the Supreme Court, that he will reap the whirlwind and pay the price. Days later, Brett Kavanaugh had a left-wing killer that was stalking him and trying to break into his house with guns and knives and zip ties in order to hold Brett Kavanaugh's family hostage and kill Brett Kavanaugh. That is a matter of fact. Democrats don't want you to remember this, but it is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Where does the radicalization come from on the left? We really need to have this conversation. It's something that the nation must look directly at. It comes from the Democrat leadership and their dehumanization campaign against the right. Statements like this. A reminder that Chuck Schumer was working with the media here. Libs on the Supreme Court leaked the decision to Politico so that they could activate their mongoloid, radicalized, suicidal base, Democrats, in order to attack a Supreme Court justice. And the man who was trying to kill Kavanaugh was trying to kill all Trump justices. That's a matter of fact. You remember, or maybe you don't, because they don't want you to remember, these massive protests outside the house of Brett Kavanaugh. Maybe you remember that Brett Kavanaugh had to have Secret Service put outside of his house. Perhaps you remember that there were these troglodytes that would march outside of Brett Kavanaugh's house, threatening his children, his wife, in this peaceful little neighborhood. Absolute orcs doing these little walks with their masks on, absolute and totally mentally ill. Department of Justice issues sentencing memo for 2022 attempted murder of Brett Kavanaugh. Sentencing memo says that the murderer should get 30 years in prison and also that they're trans. Okay. Here we go again. The man who attempted to kill Brett Kavanaugh identifies as a transgender woman now, is deeply mentally ill and suicidal, according to documents first obtained by Daily Wire, which will look at that. The Department of Justice is recommending that Nicholas Roski, the defendant, should be sentenced to 30 years. Roski is now transgender. Would you look at that? The revelation that Roski is transgender, using female name and pronouns, is significant given that transgender violence across the United States. You know, the guy who killed Charlie Kirk was living with his transgender boyfriend. Kirk's murder came only a few weeks after a 23-year-old trans-identifying gunman named Robin Westman opened fire on a Catholic school in Minneapolis, killing children. Charlie Kirk's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, was living with a 22-year-old trans-identified man named Lance Twiggs, who'd been kicked out by his family for abusing drugs, alcohol, excessive gaming, and hating Christians and conservatives. I wonder what the motive could be. I wonder if the boyfriend knew anything. Really, one of the great mysteries of all times. You know, the guy was texting him, admitting to the murder at the time, and he didn't call the cops. So why isn't he arrested? Really doesn't make you wonder. Anyway, I'm starting to sense a bit of a trend here. It was reported in 2022 that Roski portrayed himself as a trans gamer girl on the internet, This information about the assassin's gender identity had not been made available to the public. The Biden administration hid it. They buried it. They buried it, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, they were trying to get Supreme Court justices killed. Published by Politico in May 2022 was the leak of the Supreme Court decision. After that, of course, Roski was activated. He was searching for quietest semi-auto rifle, gun calibers, best silencers for Glock 17. He was searching for do snipers aim for the head or chest? Secret Service protect Supreme Court justices? Easiest way to open a locked door? How to break glass quickly and quietly? How to make shoes quieter? And how to make handcuffs with zip ties? He was found with zip ties. On Discord, here we go, Discord again. He was asking his online friends who would assassinate Supreme Court justices to help women long term. I was thinking about the Roe decision. I feel like those 9 people make a much bigger impact than most people. The Roe v. Wade decision and gay marriage both being repealed has me furious. It was clearly premeditated here. This was clearly a left-wing orc that had been released by the left by this operation, by this leak operation, in order to harm Supreme Court justice. And now we know this is one more radicalized transgender would-be mass murderer against the right. Supreme Court justice would be assassin identified as trans. DOJ recommends 30 years. Transgender violence is too common of a pattern here, and every freaking time. Trans terrorism is a massive problem. Not one more penny of my tax dollars spent on this scourge, ladies and gentlemen. Holy smokes. There we go. And there's the family. Always a weak man. Always the weak man. Men, be strong, please. The country needs strong men right now. Before he tried to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh, this would-be mass murderer, trans terrorist, was at a teaching job, musings of murdering his sister, taking medications for mental issues. Goodness gracious. Also planned to assassinate 3 other Supreme Court justices. I wonder who. Thanks, Chuck Schumer. Another left-wing attempted to kill for politics. The Kavanaugh assassination attempt has been completely memory hold. Look at the motive and where this guy went online for support. Discord. Naturally, exclusive, attempted Kavanaugh assassin identifies as transgender. Goodness gracious. We have a real problem. Today, U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Maryland issued a sentencing memo. Guilty plea for attempted murder of Brett Kavanaugh. The attempt against the life of Supreme Court Justice, attack on the entire judicial system cannot go unpunished. The Department of Justice condemns political violence. Prosecutors will ensure this disturbed individual faces punishment for their deranged actions. Again, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin lived with transgender partner. Motive is unknown. This is the killer in Minneapolis, shot up the school. Multiple sources in Minneapolis, self-identified, transgender. ID'd as trans woman Robin Westman. Apparent manifesto included kill Trump. Boy, their motive is unknown. We have a real problem with this, and Republicans and law enforcement need to get very serious about it, otherwise it will continue. It is absolutely and beyond time for us to have an honest conversation about the patterns that are directly before us, before it happens again. That is the number one thing we're trying to prevent on this channel. Here's Fox News' coverage of this story. It's your boy Benny.
Also breaking right now, new information in the case of the Brett Kavanaugh assassination plot from 2022. Now, this was reported at the time, but somehow escaped most of our attention. Perhaps you can remember, and perhaps you did a better job, but it's shocking to see the DOJ recommend the trans suspect in that case get at least 30 years behind bars. The suspect's legal team today says the suspect is now officially going by a female name, Sophie, and wants female pronouns used in the filings. Just another concerning entry and a trend when it comes to violence in the transgender community. We're going to
we all admit right there that transgenders are a problem with a lot of the country? A lot of our violence going on is because of transgender community and because Obama and Biden let this shit go by. Let's face it. And here we go. Right here, there's another thing right here being truth supposed. And everything is. This is bad, man, I'm telling you. Here's another video right here, here we go right here, it's a lawsuit. Just 36 minutes ago, Kurt's wife is suing right here. And now that AOC is ripping to using his death, Kurt's threat as a death was hate speech. But here's the video, which I'm laughing about because Jimmy Kimmel deserved what he get. And this video here shows you why. I'm glad Charlie Kurt's wife is suing him. Suing Jimmy Kimmel. Here we go.
Check this one out. So we now have ABC's Jimmy Kimmel surrounded by tons of controversy and legal trouble following his very distasteful mischaracterization of the Charlie Kirk tragedy just the other day, guys. And I'm excited to get to this one, so when I'm straight into it, all I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Well, this controversy has been brewing through the course of the week, and ABC decided to take action just as Jimmy Kimmel was getting ready for air. It's hard to make out, but that, we believe, is Jimmy Kimmel making a low-key exit after his late-night show was abruptly pulled yesterday, just as audience hopefuls were already lined up.
Now we're going to have to find something else to do at 11:35 every night.
It was all driven by Kimmel's take earlier this week on the death of political activist Charlie Kirk.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from.
That suggestion of a left-wing theory that the accused assassin, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, was a right-wing Trump supporter is not supported by the evidence gathered by investigators who have said Robinson's own family said otherwise. And it was enough to trigger a revolt from a large group of ABC stations around the country, leading the network to pull the plug.
Late night shows, something's gone seriously awry there.
FCC Chairman Brendan Carr had threatened to take action if something wasn't done.
I'm very glad to see that America's broadcasters are standing up to serve the interests of their community. We don't just have this progressive foie gras coming out from New York and Hollywood.
This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer blamed the Trump administration for an attack on free speech. The president, though, was thrilled, posting on Truth Social, "Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done." ABC has not said at this point that Kimmel has been canceled, only that his show is off the air indefinitely. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Doug, thank you so much for that update. Take a look at your screen. This is the latest commentary from the Commander-in-Chief as he made this post on Truth Social. He says, quote, "Great news for America. The ratings-challenged Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done." He goes on to say, quote, "Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC." He concludes by saying, quote, "President DJT," that's Donald J. Trump.
Hollywood stars reacted quickly to news Jimmy Kimmel Live was suspended, including Ben Stiller, who posted on X, "This isn't right," among others sharing their thoughts on social media. In a video, Wanda Sykes said she was supposed to be a guest with Kimmel. And speaking of President Trump, said he ended freedom of speech within his first year. Jamie Lee Curtis posted a Rolling Stone cover with Kimmel quoted as saying, "I don't think anybody should be canceled." Henry Winkler shared praise for Kimmel, saying his humor, his insights are important to keep showing us who we are, and he is a most wonderful fellow. Similarly, Christy Brinkley, along with a photo of several late-night hosts, noted the laughter they provide us is as important as the air we breathe. She added, "We must protect their and our..."
Hold the fuck up. Hold the absolute fuck up, okay? Jimmy Kimmel attacked a dead man. Okay? A Christian dead man who did nothing but spread the word of faith, try to unify everybody, try to wake people up about the fucking shit the Democrat people are hiding in the shadows. Okay? That's why he got fucking canceled, because he lied a bunch of times. He lied on a dead man, okay? Calling a dead man racist. Who had nothing racist there. You can go to his channel. I can know what? I can pull up his channel right now. I can pull up one of his channel right now, prove my point real quick and everything. And all. And show you there was nothing racist about him. It don't surprise me that this bullshit being right here. Here we go. I'm gonna pull up right here. Charlie Kirk has been there, I think. He knows how it happened. But here we go. What is this? I'm gonna prove these right here, because I know somebody on my Facebook page in my friend group saying that he's racist. And I'm calling you out. I just can't call your name. Lucky I don't call your name out on here. I should have to do it, but I'm not. Because I'm better than you. And I'm not going to call you out for what you said, but you should know who you are. Just like on my job, you know who you are as well. And everything. And there's nothing right here. Free speech and council culture, future politics, and everything. They killed Charlie Kirk because he's speaking out and he's saying stuff they don't want you to know about. The left-wing party do not want you to understand what's going on. That's why they had him killed. This is right here. Here's another thing what Jimmy Kimmel said right here. This is the reason why he got fired. Right here. This is the reason why he got fired.
Some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from.
Here's everything you need to know about the off-key monologue that got Jimmy Kimmel's show pulled in.
There you go. That's the reason why he got fired. He disrespected a dead person and then tried to turn it into a point saying that Republicans using it to get votes. No. We are not celebrating or using his vote. Another thing, man, he was making jokes about Carton Dale, okay? He was making jokes. He was joking there. You don't joke about somebody got killed on live TV, damn it. You just don't do that. That's the reason why he got fired. Doesn't matter you bad mouthing anything. Be honest. Okay? You gotta be fucking brutally honest. These Democrats don't give a fuck about nobody. But get back to it.
Amendment rights. Jean Smart wrote she's horrified at the cancellation, adding what Jimmy said was free speech, not hate speech, adding people seem to only want to protect free speech when it suits their agenda, while Mark Maron called the suspension government censorship and urged people to speak out, be peaceful, be urgent. NASCAR star Danica Patrick, however, had a headline of the cancellation on her Instagram story and wrote, "Human decency is coming back."
All right, folks. So as you may know by now, we're finally seeing Jimmy Kimmel's
Democrat
late
Hollywood
night show
people
being
are
plucked from the
upright. Now,
airwaves.
that's why.
Meanwhile, we have leftists coming out screaming this is an infringement on free speech.
Congressman, I see you are wearing a hat. What does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He every night has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans, just as Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him. That is not who we are, and every American should care and stand up to this.
No, we're talking about comedy. This is so serious, Aaron. America is a less free place if late night comedians cannot do and say what they want. Of course, they can be tuned out. People can change the channel. That's how we vote. That's how we have our say in America. But this really does have a chilling effect
across the American media. And it's not just me saying it. We've heard from the group FIRE in the past few minutes, the free speech group FIRE, saying, quote, the government pressured ABC and ABC caved. Quote, we cannot be a country where late night talk show hosts serve at the pleasure of the president, but until institutions grow a backbone and learn to resist government pressure, that is the country we are. And just one more note, Aaron, I've heard from Brendan Carr in the past few minutes. He's very pleased about Nexstar deciding to preempt the show. He has not officially reacted to ABC's decision yet, but when I told him about ABC's decision to go ahead and basically, this is a cancellation unless the show ever comes back, he did send me a GIF. He sent me a celebratory meme as his reaction, Aaron.
All right, guys, and that was just a couple funny instances of these loonies on the left coming out and screaming this is Trump's fault that Jimmy Kimmel is no longer on the airways. But I just want to take a minute to give you guys a brief reminder of all the folks that have been canceled by these individuals on the left, but yet now they're suddenly concerned with this one. So I stumbled across this very lovely list from our friend Benny Johnson here on X, saying these are the same libs who canceled Roseanne, Dave Chappelle, Kill Tony, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Shane Gillis, Gina Carano, Hulk Hogan, Russell Brand, Tim Allen, J.K. Rowling, Kid Rock, and many more. Not to mention they shot Trump and Charlie, but now they want us to feel bad for Jimmy Kimmel. Absolutely not. We cannot do it. I mean, the left is very hypocritical in nature, if you guys have not noticed by now. I mean, just look at this response from MSNBC's Chris Hayes on Tucker Carlson's firing versus Kimmel's suspension. It's night and day. Just watch it.
ABC made the announcement that Kimmel would indeed be taken off the air indefinitely. And this is just the latest chapter in Donald Trump's ongoing campaign to crack down on free speech, dominate the media, and essentially render the First Amendment meaningless. So it was for the journeyman cable news host Tucker Carlson, just fired from his third network. He believed he could say anything, no matter how vile, no matter how disgusting, no matter how offensive, no matter dehumanizing or belittling. And if you act like a sociopath over and over and over and over, you will become unpopular on the national stage. That's just like a basic principle. Over time, probably not going to work out well for you in the long run. Eventually, people will be rightly offended, disgusted by it.
So once again, we're seeing a selective outrage from these loonies on the left. They're coming out screaming and crying, hollering in the streets that Jimmy Kimmel's constitutional rights have been violated by the suspension. But yet, where was this energy at when it was Tucker Carlson and other figures of the right? I simply don't want to hear it. And you want to know who else doesn't want to hear it, doesn't have time for it? Our president, Donald Trump. He's now coming out debunking all of their false narratives that they're currently pushing.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
President Donald Trump calling it straight down the center once again, where he says this has been a long time coming, something that should have happened a while ago. Absolute lack of talent, abysmal ratings is what played a key factor in the dismissal of Jimmy Kimmel, and that's why he's in the position that he's in right now. Now we have folks from both sides of the aisle coming out and slamming those false narratives that are being pushed around.
Jimmy Kimmel owes the family of Charlie Kirk and his wife Erica, 2 small children, an apology. What's he saying? That if you're a member of MAGA and Charlie is a friend of MAGA, then he had it coming. It just it's in some way it's very extremely insensitive. The country's in a very tough spot right now. Everyone's walking on eggshells. The First Amendment is not a license to incite hatred. And, I think that we can start the discussion. Once Jimmy Kimmel apologizes, then they can talk about the business aspects and whether or not he gets back on the schedule and so forth. But there's got to be a recognition that a terrible thing has happened here and that millions of Americans are grievously hurt by what happened. There is Charlie Kirk was beloved by many. And to just tremble over it, he's not even buried yet, for goodness sake. And to make fun of the flags and half-staff and so forth, I just think that we've got to look at it with a notion that the country has to be healed, that we have to work to bring people together, that we need to respect each other. We don't have to agree, but we have to respect. And I think that the audience has deserted him for a good reason.
It's false advertising because honestly, I mean, look, Jimmy Kimmel can be funny, and I don't mean to take anything away from that, but the fact of the matter, can you remember a political joke that went viral, what was something really funny of his? There was no attempt in humor at all in what he said. And as a matter of fact, it was a lie. And now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix, this isn't cable, this is broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public. And to get that license, you have to be in the interest, like you said, of the public. And so that's why when there's a news van parked in the white zone, they don't get a ticket. Because they are there to present news, to inform the public in the public interest. So what happens is 25% originally was supposed to be the news to inform it, to get that license. So when you absolutely lie to the public, then you are no longer in the public interest, like Jimmy Kimmel did the other night. Right. Mislead and lie, and actually was something dangerous. So with the FCC chairman, he didn't say that he was going to pull the license. He was going to give them a warning and ask for an apology, what I understood on the Benny Johnson show. And so that's not the government doing it. And when 246 different stations around the country say we're no longer airing this, it's because they heard from their consumers, they heard from their customers, and they said that's it, we're not doing it. And so Nexstar, who was a great guy over there, Sean Compton, said that's it. He's the CEO, and said when we have complaints like this, and none of the channels, 246, because I'm sorry, it's not just LA and New York, there are people in between who have a real sense of decency and who realize that what you had here was you had someone who wanted to have conversations and debate, and for somebody who was gunned down for that. So while I don't want to ever celebrate somebody losing their TV show, I think the outrage over somebody losing their TV show should be dwarfed by the outrage over somebody losing their life over a decent, God-fearing, wonderful, lovely person trying to have conversations. So that's where my concern goes.
Great. Even in death, Charlie keeps winning debates. The media, this is what's disgusting. Just look at the reaction. The media is trying to make Jimmy Kimmel into their Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm. But as if like getting fired is the same as getting fired upon. That's what disgusts me, is how they're this is a blatant effort to get the stink off them. The decades of brainwash that created justification for violence and for murder. Sorry guys, he's not a victim. The victim is Charlie Kirk. The victims are his family. I don't shed any tears for a lefty millionaire who can still go home and see his kids. Yep. So this, look at this through that prism. Jason Bateman predicts a reckoning over Kimmel's suspension. Sorry, dude. The reckoning began without you. Your side got thousands of conservatives thrown off social media. CNN tried to get Fox off the air. Do you remember that? Stelter, that don't say that. Stelter tried to get us off the air, and we're on a private airway. We're not in a public thing like ABC is. While they were doing this, they were promoting rhetoric that demonized people with different viewpoints. So there isn't a both sides here. You can't turn Kimmel into Kirk. Mm-hmm. That is disgusting, and I'm going to control myself. Let's look at the obvious here. You have to look at this like mutually assured destruction. Facebook was pressured by the president or the White House to throw people out. Trump was thrown off Twitter. You had Roseanne, Gina Carino, Dave Chappelle, Shane Gillis, J.K. Rowling. The list is endless. We could take an whole hour to do it. How do you stop that? Mutually assured destruction. Like what Trump is doing with lawfare. You hunted us. You hunted Republicans. You hunted conservatives. Well, maybe you won't hunt us anymore if we hunt you. And lastly, I am so tired of these self-centered fools on CNN and MSNBC with their performative outrage, because they will never, ever stand outside before thousands of people and debate people who don't like them. They are, like me, indoor cats. They use phrase, was it S.E. Cupp used the phrase, systematically killing free speech? A young man was systematically killed over free speech last week. Kimmel has every right and every opportunity to do a live free show outdoors. And so could all those people on CNN. But they don't. If they did, they probably wouldn't get shot because no one is demonizing them. No one is calling them Hitler. That was your gig.
Well, listen, my background is in the courts. I was a federal court litigator, literally defended free speech as a career for about 20 years, religious freedom and the freedom of speech and our fundamental rights. We have to jealously guard that, and I think we are. ABC is a private company. You've heard a lot of consternation about private companies firing or reprimanding employees for going online and glorifying the tragic death of a young father and young husband, and it's detestable. So in the private employer space, you have all the right in the world to have standards for your company, standards for your broadcast brand, and they get to make that decision. And I don't think that's violation of the First Amendment. You don't have a First Amendment right to stay employed if you're going to engage in that kind of crazy action online. And in many cases, it really is inciting further violence. It's a serious problem.
And you guys, after all of this, we can clearly see the picture now. This is not a matter of a First Amendment issue. This is simply a public figure being held accountable by their boss for further pushing a very dangerous narrative. And guys, I want to end this one on a lighter note. Found some very positive updates here. Headline coming from our friend Eric Daugherty here on X, saying that after Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, Sinclair said his local ABC stations are now airing a Charlie Kirk remembrance on Friday during Jimmy Kimmel's time slot. What a class act. You'll love to see it. Also have Sinclair demanding that Jimmy Kimmel apologize directly to Erica Kirk and the Kirk's family, and also donate to Turning Point USA. This is what we love to see. Also have another major announcement coming from Turning Point USA. I want you guys to check this one out.
Since everything has happened, I think the number one question is what is going to happen with Turning Point? What is going to happen next? And I'm pleased to be able to announce with you, and I think it's appropriate because of who you are and who this person is, that the Turning Point board has unanimously selected Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board. And not only is that amazing in and of itself, but I can assure you, Megan, that Charlie told me personally, and he told others, he probably told Mikey, that if anything ever happened to him, that this is exactly what he wanted.
Wow. I have the chills. It had to be, right? I mean, it's just, I don't think anybody would accept a leader of the organization who they didn't feel completely understood Charlie and would be 100% dedicated to fulfilling his vision for where this group is going.
So some major news coming for Turning Point USA and its future, with Erica Kirk now being named the CEO of the company. And I don't know anyone better for the role but Erica Kirk, especially after the clips that I've seen and the way that Charlie and Erica interacted with each other. This is truly what he would have wanted.
My wife joins us, Erica Kirk,
Hi,
the beautiful, legendary Erica.
I love you so much.
I love you.
You're my best friend.
Welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. We have asked the audience for questions. You pick one.
Who is more conservative and why?
Erica.
Yes.
By far. Not even close. I am a moderate compared to Erica.
Andrew always jokes that once you got married to me, you got more base.
That's true. That is true. No, Erica is very conservative. Do you think having kids made you more conservative?
100%. Which I didn't think was possible. But 100%. Absolutely. And a better wife.
Wow, guys, I feel like I had to include that brief glimpse into who Erica Kirk is and how much Charlie means to her. You can see that she is up for the task. She is definitely the person to continue on furthering his legacy. And of course, all of this has the internet in a complete frenzy with Jimmy Kimmel's nonsense. And I want to check in a couple perspectives on what X users are saying. So let's check it out. First up, we got our friend Kate Hyde here on X tweeting out saying, pretty sure ABC was looking to pull Kimmel a long time ago. He just gave them a good reason to do so, and I mean, we've seen the way his ratings were just tanking, dropping. His audience was next to no one. This is definitely a great reason to get rid of him, give him the boot. And we also have our friend Cello here on X tweeting out saying Jimmy Kimmel needs to apologize to Eric Kirk. And I mean, I think that's the least that he could do to try to clean up this mess, but that's only the start. I would not be surprised to see him being faced with a lawsuit very soon. And we also have Riley Gaines here on X tweeting out saying Jimmy Kimmel showed zero sympathy for a husband and a father of 2 young kids who was politically targeted in cold blood. So forgive me if I can't muster up any sympathy when the network that's carried his show for 20 years decides to pull the plug. I mean, this guy showed no sympathy, no remorse for his actions. Actually, I think he doubled down. So I can't feel bad for a man that gets exactly what he deserves. And then finally, we have Real Defender here on X tweeting out saying if Jimmy Kimmel refuses to take back his statements and apologize to Erica Kirk for blaming MAGA for Charlie's death, she should sue him into oblivion. ABC needs to fire him immediately. And all I can say is any punishment that comes his way is well deserved. He's had ample time, ample opportunity to come out, apologize, take back or walk back the statements, but yet he is continue to double down and stand on what he said. So anything that comes to him is well deserved in my book. Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, finally seeing unfunny Jimmy Kimmel show being canceled by ABC after a very dangerous narrative that he continued to push, mischaracterizing the marksman that came after Charlie Kirk as some MAGA affiliate. We all know that's not the case. These leaders on the left are doing everything they can to justify the tragedy of Charlie Kirk, but we're not going to have it. This right here crossed the line, and there is no point of return, especially if you're not big enough, you're not man enough to apologize or own up to the fact that you were wrong in the situation. I'm completely tired of it, and it's about time someone is held accountable, held to it for the very dangerous narrative they continue to push day in and day out. They're not helping the situation whatsoever. Definitely going to continue to follow this situation. I wouldn't be surprised to see if there was legal action, a lawsuit filed on Jimmy Kimmel in the very near future, just by the way that he's, not willing to walk it back. He's not willing to apologize or be the bigger.
I'm going to say some famous words on everybody's behalf. The words that Donald Trump used and Vince Kennedy the man used. Jimmy Kimmel, you are fired. Good night.